Remember that you are dust, and unto dust you shall return. These are the words, or at least one of the choices, for the imposition of ashes. And a reminder to us that in the franticness of our daily lives, we do not have all the answers. We cannot know all that we need to know. Remember that you are dust, and unto dust you shall return. It's a reminder for us to dig a little bit deeper at times and to go beyond what we're caught up in. I was just speaking with someone this morning about how we can get caught up in our daily lives and miss who God is and how God works. Miss the Lord calling out to us. Miss the Lord waiting for us. And this season of Lent is all about the God who comes to us. The God who waits for us, who waits patiently. My mother would never go to bed until all of us were home. Now, it's not that she didn't trust us, she just wanted to make sure that her little birds were safe. And this is true until the day that she died. It didn't matter where we were or what we were doing. She was always waiting for us to come home. And that's God. That's God. That's the way God is with us. The God who created us, the God who sustains us, the God who knows the number of the hairs on our head. It's why Deacon George is in New York, because I always use that line on him, and, well, it's easier to count on his head than many. But a God who is always wanting us closer. Not in the annoying, pecking, oh my God, I got to get home kind of way, but in the being present and happy where we are, of coming home. And that's what Lent is all about. Lent is about the coming home. It is a simple time, or it's called to be, I should say, a more simple time. A time where we let some of the craziness go to create a space to draw closer to God. Think for a moment about how you'll do that this year. We hear in our gospel today the traditions of Lent, of charity, fasting, and prayer. Increased time with God. Increased time for God. Increased awareness of God. The goal is not to come out thinner, although Lord knows that would be nice. The goal is not to come out having given away your fortune, but if you are anywhere over a millionaire, you just let me know. We'll help you with that as well. The goal is not to spend all of your time in prayer. The goal is to draw closer to God who wants to be with you. And as many of us as there are in this room, in this church, there will be that many ways to draw closer to God. When I was a kid, every year I'd give up chocolate. And then when I got older, I said, that's ridiculous. And then I would give up TV, and I wouldn't make it until, I usually made it through the first Sunday of Lent, but that was about it. And so I know that that's not going to happen for me this year. But already, I have been attentive today, this morning, to how God is going to be at work. So I've laid aside my plans to see how I can find God. And I encourage you to do that. Take nothing for granted. Take absolutely nothing for granted. Oh, I always do this. Don't do it. Do something new. And do something not only about giving something up, so you can pat yourself on the back at the end and say, "Hoo-hoo, job well done." But do something that draws you closer to God. So God can say, "Hoo-hoo, I'm happy to have you closer to me." That's what Lent is all about. But it is a call for us and a challenge for us, especially with those of you who have young children, those of you who are always running about, or those of you who are married to those who aren't young in chronological years, but still need a lot of care. There's always going to be challenges and obstacles to putting God first. My sister used to say that the only time she had to pray was in the shower. And then my brother would say, "Yeah, you know what our water bills were?" But the reality of that. So take some time over these few days before they turn into a few weeks, before all of a sudden it's Good Friday. Take some time to think about how God is present and about how you can be present to God. Open that up. Open your heart to see the way that God is. How beautiful it is to see people. We've seen, Kathy has seen most of them. I was a little late, I must admit, for the distribution of ashes. But how beautiful it is to see people with the greatest intentions. They want to come. They want to be marked. And marked by what? Marked by our sinfulness, our weakness. What are ashes except that which remain after everything else is used up? And that's what our sinfulness is, our weakness is. Except that God comes. God comes and transforms these ashes into living water. So that at Easter, we're not marking ourselves with ashes, but with holy water. Blessed by the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So today, begin that journey. You don't have to take all the steps today. And don't be like me that takes 10 steps today and 9 steps tomorrow, and then by Sunday, no steps at all. Because I'm worn out, God. Start small and build with an awareness, and build with a recognition, and build. Build so that when we come together at Easter, we will be able to share the great joy of an empty tomb, of a God who lives and is present within us, and the joy of communion, of a God who breaks every bond to be with us. Remember that you are dust, and unto dust you shall return.